Hey y'all, it's Coffee with Avila. I've got my coffee and today I'm going to do kind of a quick video, I'm thinking, because it's kind of a fun subject. I think it's kind of a fun and funny subject. I have a personal list of things I like to do for myself and a book of priorities. Maybe I'll get into that later. But one of the priorities that I wrote down for taking care of myself is making an Autie emergency kit. Now what I mean by that is collecting a group of things that make me feel better or more comforted so that I can keep them with me or take them with me on the fly. And I realized after I wrote that down and started to jot down some ideas of what I thought I wanted to put on it, that I had already done this and I've had it with me pretty much all the time, basically since the start of the pandemic. So without even truly realizing it, I mean, at the time I was more concerned with just having hand sanitizer all the time, but then when it came down to it, it started to spread out into other things that were more specifically comforting just in general. So I'm gonna show some of the things that I have in this kit I had no conscious awareness that I had really made, and then I'm just gonna let you, I don't know, take that fly as an idea in case nobody's thought of this before, because I think it's a really great idea. We tend to have the stuff that might comfort us, right? Even if it's just one thing. But I'm finding that having a little kit and listing it that way in my mind, it's something I'm doing on purpose. It really helps me because then I just know I'm taking care of myself. This is self-care. This is what that actually looks like. So real quick, today's coffee is just a really delicious Kona that I have brewed straight, where it's just the coffee, touch of baking soda in there, and the water. And then when I put it in the mug, I decided I want a little bay leaf, and I threw a clove in there. I do milk. I did buttered coffee. It's very heavily buttered today. It's probably a couple of tablespoons because I just have not been feeling like having breakfast. So I've basically been starting my day having a big mug of buttered coffee, and the butter does turn it more into a meal replacement. So I went ahead and threw in more of the recommended amount based on the information I have. Oh, and then I like to rip up a Peep and throw it in there, and I usually rip the head off and toss it in there and then drink it up. I don't know why, I just love doing it. So, Peep sugar. So I already had the head last night before sleep, and today I kind of ripped up the butt and threw it in there, but it doesn't look very pretty when a Peep butt is covered in coffee, so I'm not going to show you. Anyway, that's what I'm drinking. Let me just tell you right now, these might be kind of odd things. I don't know how we're thinking about this in general, but if they're odd, then they're odd, and I've warned you already. So one of the things that I carry is an empty mint tin that has inside of it, going back to the coffee I just made, it's a big jar of spice. It's a big jar of bay leaves. I throw in bay leaf and cloves, right? So I have a tendency to pull out bay leaves, and I will either pull one out because I just think it's really huge and special and maybe I want to photograph it. Like this one has a million tiny little dark spots on one side, so that's kind of interesting to me. This one just had... I'll pull out my favorite ones and then I will use them specifically in my coffee and my tea. This one is just a really interesting shape in my opinion. I think it's so pretty, it's almost a shame it's not some kind of hair charm or ornament. In fact, I suppose I could turn it into something like that, but we're going to try and put that idea off to the side for today because I don't love crafting and that one doesn't sound like a fun or delightful craft. Trying to figure out how to maintain a bay leaf. But basically, every time I pull out one of my favorite leaves, I will toss it into this tin here and keep it with me specifically, because that way I can pull it out and I can handle it repeatedly, and it's not kind of in there with the rest of the leaves. So once I start one, I will start using it until it ends up like this one right here, just a teeny, eensy-weensy little piece where I've been working on it. The next time I make a mug of tea or refresh my coffee, a brand new mug of coffee, I'm probably just going to throw that in there. And then I'll be done with it. I just like having it with me. I like having it separate, and it makes me feel good to know that I've got the bay leaf in there. It's just convenient. So that's something I carry around. It leaves the kitchen, it stays with me, and it stays inside of this little bag. Now I realize I might need a bigger bag because I've been using this kind of little thing I got Around Christmas time, I decided to put together a goodie bag for people, and one of the things in here actually was in that goodie bag, but the bag itself was part of the gift. And I've been using it so much and stuffing it so full of things that I actually just kind of busted a hole in the side of the bag somewhere. So I could fix it. I don't know if I'm going to try, because it's kind of just, you know, the fabric's coming unraveled. So I don't know if it's worth it, but I'm probably not going to just instantaneously throw away, so I'll throw it away. So I'll figure out what to do with it. But having the bag burst really helped me to realize that I've not only created this emergency kit, I'm using it all of the time and constantly thinking of new things to shove in there, because it'll change based on the day and what I need. I might throw a bottle of aspirin in there if I have a headache. Then when I get to some place where I have liquid to take aspirin, that's part of my daily emergency thing. So generally, though, I'm not carrying the aspirin, but it will fit, and it's one of those things that helps my bags break. So I definitely need to get another bag, and I've got my eye on one already, because now I'm really into this thing. I also kind of have a favored way of putting this stuff into the bag, because that also comforts me, and that probably has a whole lot to do with exactly how I ended up busting the bag wide open, because the stuff kind of fit in there perfectly. Like, I'd slip the tin in, and that'll end up going to the bottom right, my right, and in the back. So something will end up, it'll sit right there. Something will end up in the front, something will end up off to the side. There will be about three things on top of it, and every time I shove something else in there, basically I'm just stressing the bag out even worse. But I'm putting it back in here so you can see what it looks like. So why not tell you the order, because I love the order. Next thing that I'm carrying around with me is a bottle of hydrocortisone cream, because I have been having a situation with my skin and I needed hydrocortisone cream, and I'm finding that it's very relaxing. My hands and wrists, actually. I know what it is. I'm taking care of it. It's something where you let it run its course. It's not contagious, but it doesn't matter really, because you're watching me through a video and you can't catch stuff that way. But nonetheless, it's not a big deal. It's just kind of a big deal, and I'm finding that having this cream around is a thing that I can do, and it's become kind of a stem. So I'll end up popping this open and putting a little bit of it on my skin, and I just end up sort of rubbing it across all the little spots where I might end up with an itch or feel uncomfortable. And that, for whatever reason, is a very relaxing stem for me, and I just love doing it. And I found myself kind of doing this on my own time before I was carrying that around. Found myself just doing it and wanting to do it as a relaxing thing. So then it was ultra super relaxing when I was putting it on, and it was taking care of uncomfortable dry skin. So I just decided, hey, from here forward, I'm going to throw this cream right in here, fitting in front of the empty mint tin, and carry it around with me. And it's something that I then will stop when I'm in the kitchen, for instance, and I'm fixing breakfast and I have an instance of downtime, or maybe there's a whole lot of noise and stressful stuff going on. I just take that moment, I don't know, 30 seconds, do my nice hand comforting stem, and everything is absolutely fine from that point. It's not like 100% I'm fine in every way, but it helps me get back into gear. It feels really good. It's a stem. That's what stems do. Now, on that trek of stuff that you put on your hands, I also have a tendency to be very aware. I'm not trying to spend all my time harping on my skin being dry, because I want to manifest it away. And I feel like it is working. Decades of my life I've learned, okay, my skin is dry, it sucks, it feels horrible, and I just harped on it. So I've decided to quit, and I'm having an easier time in my life. But I'll mention it this one time, I'm accustomed to the sensation of needing moisturizer, and I hate how my skin feels when it is not moisturized at all. So carrying some kind of moisturizer is very relaxing for me too. And while the other thing that I put on is put on specifically more in that area that's more palms and wrists, this I keep, and I might put it everywhere, but I concentrate it on my fingers, because for me, when my fingers don't feel moisturized, the sensation of doing something like this, or just touching anything, especially something like paper, certain textures, I don't even want to get into it. I'll just say the rest of the world loves the term nails on the chalkboard. This is like carrying around the sensation of nails on a chalkboard inside of your flesh, cellularly erupting when you least expect it. So I like to carry the moisturizer, and this is just a nice, let's see, it's called Vanilla Spice Vanilla Clove scented moisturizer that was given to me in a Christmas gift. It says Woolsey's Soft by Nature. Now this is interesting because I felt like that brand was more like laundry stuff, but I guess they just do natural things. And so it smells good. To me it just smells really great and kind of like a cool, calm, spicy scent. Almost like if you're smelling the sea and a gentle aroma of spices. So maybe you were, I don't know, burning some lovely spices at a campfire by the sea one night. I have no idea, but it's got a good smell to it. So this little moisturizer will then go into this bag, hopefully in the middle. So we're already getting a pretty full bag here. It's pretty much done for, but I've got a bunch more stuff I put in there. So let's get to that. Now this is a deceptively non-vitamin-y vitamin bottle. This is just a really pretty amber glass vitamin jar with kind of that brass golden lid, and I love bottles like this. They look great. So once I finished what was inside of it, which I think was vitamin D, I kept this jar because it's so beautiful, and I eventually ended up using it to mix up just my own recipe. I do things like this. I just decided to mix up a smelling salt type thing, but it's not something to keep you conscious or do anything like that. I took a million different relaxing oils and scents that I adore, with some of them being patchouli, vanilla, orange, I think I put clary sage in here, all kinds of essential oils that just feel good to me, and there's some chamomile in here because I needed it to be relaxing. So when I'm having a sensory experience where something doesn't feel great, I've got a death grip on this right now because it is a container chock full of salt, and I like to know that I have it in my hands. So I did that, I mixed in the salt, and I'm just realizing as I show it, you're also going to see some mandarin orange slices from some mandarin oranges. I think that's what they are. They're teeny tiny little oranges. They might be branded differently. They might be called something like Sweeties. So I finished eating them, and I just kept the peels and I dried them out. I let them air dry, and then when that was taking too long, I sat them on a bed of salt and I let them air dry. That dried it out very quickly, and that is actually the salt that I then let dry. I spread that out more and let it dry itself and used to throw these essential oils into. So you will see little bits of that orange peel in there. I tore up some bay leaf and put it in there because at the time I was thinking, I've never used bay leaf all my life, so I started researching it and realizing that it's got some good uses, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to throw it in here, and part of the reason why I'm all of a sudden throwing it into my coffee and tea all the time, because I've just lived in a world full of spices all my life, and I tend to use them in one way I'm accustomed to. And I like doing stuff I'm accustomed to, but I also really like learning new things, so this is a new thing. So I've got bay leaf in there. I also tore up a cinnamon stick into tiny little chunks and threw that in there. And I have some cloves in here too. And now I've poured this out so it looks, you know, really cute, and you can kind of see what it looks like, and I'm going to have to take my time to put it back into the container, which I think I'm going to do later. But I generally carry this around, and I have it with me when I'm just anywhere other than in my safe space. So if I get overwhelmed by a scent I don't like, if I get overwhelmed by a conversation that's not peaceful, whatever's going on, I've got some aromatherapy in a jar, and I've got all the powers of nature helping me to get back to that good place where I like to stay. And this helps with all kinds of stuff, sensory overwhelm obviously in the immediate way, where I smell it and I just love how it smells. I also put some peppermint in here and some wintergreen. I went crazy. I know you're not supposed to mix a million things, but I'm not drinking this, I'm smelling it, and I love all of these scents. So it's way cool. I'm going to put in here whatever I want to put in here. So I carry this too. It's also very relaxing for me because I just think the jar is very beautiful, and I really like textures and fun things that look gorgeous. So it's another visual stem, and it's a tactile stem too, because you know, you've got little ridges underneath the jar that feel nice, and the ones across the cap that feel nice to run my fingers across. So I just am getting a lot of boxes ticked when I'm carrying this. And this tends to slide into the only remaining space all the way off to this side, right in the bottom of the bag. So we can already see how it wants to kind of pop open on the side. It used to hold it pretty well, but then I split it open, so it really doesn't anymore. It's fine. Like I said, I'm going to get a replacement. Not only do I have extras of these bags for right now use, I've got my eye on a really cute bag I've just kind of wanted to try for other reasons anyway for later use. So we've got 4 things in the bag already. Taking a sip of my Peep booty. Pardon me. Also, just FY Izzy, as much as I have a sense of humor and find everything hilarious and like to get away with stuff, I am wearing a dress that just happens to be falling right beneath the bottom of the frame of the screen. So now that we've established that, for the sake of my, you know, purity and chastity and what's the word, my honor, we can move on in life. So, more Peep booty. I like it like that. So, next up, as a match set to the moisturizer, is the other half of my moisturization process, because my skin works in a certain way and it does not like to feel good with moisturizer, and it's feeling a little weird right now because I've just got moisturizer on it. So I do a 2-step moisturization process, which involves whatever kind of moisturizer is best or available for my skin, whatever I'm trying now. Long story short, I had a favorite years ago and they discontinued it. Why does the world do things like that? Anyway, moving along, I use whatever moisturizer I think is best in the moment. And step 2 is to go over the top of it with some Vaseline. So on the subject of that little kind of care kit that I put together for everybody at Christmas time, I had things in there that just kind of take care of you and that you need every day now, like a small but pretty reasonably sized bottle of hand sanitizer, and a little jar of hand cream, and I put in one of these little containers of Vaseline. Now, I have to use Vaseline specifically in order to have comfort with my skin, because it seems like it's the only thing that goes on top and actually seals in the moisture and gives me the sensation that I can stand. Do wish I could find something more natural to replace it, but I've been searching for decades, so I'm not putting a whole lot of weight on being able to find it. Anyway, this time I thought it would be neat, since sometimes people have used basic Vaseline, and for a lot of us, it's almost like a cultural thing. Someone probably will have introduced you to the Vaseline at some point for some reason, because it has so many uses. I decided I was going to try a different type of Vaseline, so this one is Aloe Fresh, and I've got to tell you, I don't know that I would call it Aloe Fresh. It's an extremely strong scent. I think it's a pleasant scent, but it's like if perfume decided it wanted to grow up and be aloe scented and fresh one day. It's not even like aloe decided to grow up and become perfume, because it's still starting off as aloe. Perfume had to start off as perfume and decide it wants to become aloe-like one day. So it's pretty heavily scented. I still think it's pleasant, but it's something that I'm using on my hands where I don't tend to get them near my face unless I'm filming and thinking about it, trying to smell it. But nonetheless, I've got these little containers, and I got one for myself because I made a little care kit for me too, because it was fun and I wanted to, and I think it's part of the fun when absolutely everybody has one. And I wanted this stuff because, you know, it's me and I like fun stuff, and I think skincare is fun. So I think stuff like skincare and bandages and first aid stuff and post-it notes are really fun, and I'm not going to hide that because I think it's fly and it brings me joy in life. And so I decided I was going to put together a container of fun stuff, like a first aid kit for everybody, actually, come to think of it. Just sort of multi-neuro type, there's a word for that. I did a video on this on my other station, Aviana Lemaire. Neurodiverse first aid kit. I did a what? You know what? let's just stick with what I already said. This stuff is good for more than one person. It's neurodiversity friendly, and I thought it'd be fly. I'm so off the track now. What the heck is going on? So I gave everybody the opportunity to try a new thing, and I got to try a new thing, and it's good enough. It is definitely lighter. It's almost like it's creamier. It's almost like somebody put 10% creaminess into the mix, and it feels different and lighter. But I still am using it because it's still working, especially in a pinch. It's very relaxing for me because it's something ultimately I'm used to. I know this product, and it's very easy for me to throw on and relax. And I'm just throwing this, the place where I put the aromatherapeutic stuff I mixed. I set this right on top of it, however it will go. If it will go. Right now it's still gonna go. Peep a booty. So next thing that I've got in here is something we're all familiar with right now. It's a bottle. It's like 4 ounces. I think this is a 4-ounce container. Let me check on that. Yeah, it's a 4-ounce container of hand sanitizer, and I just found 4-ounce bottles and got a larger hand sanitizer container and filled them myself because I had the idea and I needed them to be a certain size. So this is unlabeled because it's just the container you could have used for anything. So this, highly comforting for me when I run into what I like to refer to as mystery moisture. You know, when you're living your life and you're touching the microwave or a door handle or whatever it is that you've got, and everything is fine and everything is breezy, and then all of a sudden something is wet. What is wet? Where did it come from? What is this? Oh my gosh, I don't even want to know. I just need my hand sanitizer. And now I'm good. So this stuff saves the day. And then obviously, because there's still mystery, I mean, I want to debacterialize myself, but I'm gonna go get something and wipe that right off my hand. So I should probably be a prepared traveler and travel with my own towel. But you know what? I tend to have my own towels in every other way. So if I'm gonna be walking around with a tea towel and a coffee towel, and the towel I like to sit on my tray, because I do like to do that. I have a towel on my tray so that everything is nice and together, and if anything ever wastes, I've got no worries. I travel with 3 towels. I just don't want to use any of my tea towels for mystery moisture remains. So I will get something else and put that off to the side. Point is, hand sanitizer rocks. I'm a huge fan. Let's get on with the show. Generally, if I end up, it's so dark in there, you probably can't see how full it is. But at this point, if I end up putting it in here, I'm just kind of slamming it between the Vaseline and the tops of the moisturizer. And it's just sitting wonkily, but once I pull the drawstring, it sucks it up and keeps it nice and tight in there. But you haven't seen that I still have 2 more things to go. So again, this is how I ripped the bag. Let's just do a nice round story on, you know, body care and things like that. So I edit. These days I'm back into editing. I carry some eye drops pretty much at all times. I've got some lubricating eye drops nearby. It's very helpful for me to have around, and it's something that's very good to have on the go, because in that moment where you realize that your eyeballs feel dry and uncomfortable and you can feel them too much when you're wiggling them around just living your day, that's the moment, exactly the moment when I want to do something about it right now. So I keep these with me. This container being nice and round, it fits in here a lot easier. It might fall out because, once again, the issue of the day is the hole that's in this bag right now. And it wasn't this big before I started recording, but I am dedicated to showing how I usually do this, and I'm not feeling like going to fish out one of the other bags so I can really show, or so that I can break that one. So this one pretty much goes wherever it'll fit, and today it fits all the way over here. Now the last thing I always have with me, this is a little unusual maybe. I was given a little pulse oximeter a few years back, and I find this thing to be weirdly relaxing because it gives me a little bit of a vital checkup. So if I'm feeling like I just got really freaked out, or I just feel dehydrated or something is up, for whatever reason, even though that stuff's going to affect more than your beats per minute, I really like popping this thing on my finger. So you just it's the one where you stick your finger in and you just put it on, you turn it on, and it'll just go. So after a few seconds of having it on, Hopefully it'll work for me, because sometimes it decides, I guess my finger is too cold or something, it won't work. It'll just decide to give me a reading. Like right now, I'm skosh and nervous, and I'm filming this video, and for some reason it feels a little high. But if I take a moment and start to breathe, it tends to come a little bit down. I like to check my oxygen level and my beats per minute, and I really like knowing that when I feel a little freaked out, I can stop, I can do some breathing exercises, I can focus on something that's calming, I can take some sips of tea and some deep breaths, and it really does make a readable difference that you can see right here on this itty bitty device. So I love having this with me, and I do not know if this is going to fit, because very often when I take this, I'll end up tossing it into my dress so it just slips. I tend to have a something around my waist, a belly bag, so that I can carry my phone with me. So I have a whole lot of stuff on me just at general points. If I'm going around the house, I'll toss my phone in there so I have it if I need it, because otherwise, you know, it's just too much. I don't keep it on me 24/7. I get where I'm going, I take the phone out of my bag and I sit it on a surface, but I do tend to just have this on and carry the phone with me inside of that. Then I have my hands free, still got the phone with me. So very often, since something is around my waist with whatever I'm wearing, if I drop something into my top, it's going to fall down in the fabric, the excess fabric, and just stick right there and stay put. So I do that fairly often. When I'm not doing that, I just basically will sit it on my tray or whatever, so it doesn't always fit in the bag. And right now, you can probably see, if I try to fit this in the bag, I've almost got no space whatsoever for doing it. So I'm going to see if I can. I can kind of toss it in there. No, I can't. It's messed up. I used to have all this stuff in here. I don't know how, but this is probably how. Not to put too fine a point on it, but fine point. Extra fine point. Extra fine point. So, here we go. That's what I carry around with me. I will be putting it into something different. Well, look, I've got a new hole coming through because the lotion container has that sharp, you know, where it's pressed together at the top. It's got the sharp edge. So yeah, this thing is definitely done for at this point. I don't see any way to save this with dignity. But that's what I carry. That's my emergency kit. That's what I have with me all the time. One more thing sometimes I carry that I can't usually fit in there, but I have done it in the past. I do not know how. And this is kind of important, because if you're an idea person, if you're researching something, if you've managed to stop and get outside of the hyper-focus zone so you can get up and go get something to eat or take a trip to the restroom or whatever you need to do in your life, you might have some ideas along the way that you don't want to forget. So whether I'm having content ideas or thinking about something I want to just process, pray about, meditate on, whether I'm thinking about something I want to look up, or someone is talking to me and I need to take notes, I find that digital notes make me cray-cray, and these do not. So I am now going back into offline mode and analoging my way to a much happier and healthier life with tiny, teeny, weeny little notebooks and the eensy, weensiest, absolutely sweetest little teensy, weensy pen. I just love this thing. Oh, you actually pull it. You pull it to expand it. If you pull it, it gets bigger. So I take this pen with me, and then I don't know, I push it down. If it won't fit, I like to force it so that it'll go exactly where I need it to be. Obediently. So, these are the things I regularly have with me as an emergency kit. They make me feel better on the daily. They help me mind, body, and soul. I'm able to get through my days with more peace, and I can't tell you how absolutely magnificent it is to have them with me, and how much I really need that nice big bag where I can shove all this stuff in together. So having said that, oh, you know what? One more bonus item. Because when it is really hot and I'm overwhelmed, and I have been really hot and overwhelmed recently, I'll take one more thing. But I don't see any way to fit this into a bag personally, but I will have it. Voila! I like to have a fan with me. The fan makes all the difference, and it's kind of a huge situation. In case you haven't noticed, it's a big thing. I adore it. It's all kinds of fun, and I'm taking this with me anytime I need to. So it's not going to fit in that bag. I don't think it's going to fit in the new bag I want to use, but once again, I will slip this sucker right down in here and carry it around with me because it's that important. Temperature control is a must. No, I'm not. What? My light went out. So I'm going to take that as a sign. If any of these ideas applied for you, or you think they work for you, or if you have any more ideas or questions, leave them down in the comments section. Remember to like, subscribe, and share the video if you got use out of it or you think other people would get use out of it. And thank you for watching. Have a blessed day. That's about it. Bye now.